Yes. Dear students, very good morning to all. Today we are going to discuss on social and religious condition during the 18th century. Okay, so if you look at the political circumstance, how the political situation was there during the period of 18th century. Okay, if you look at the 18th century, the historians believed that the entire the Indian society was full of stagnant. So because of the political instability. So it was the political instability was occurred during the period of the what you call the first decades of the 18th century. So especially after the death of Aurangzeb, there was no any kind of a strong and efficient ruler in India, because if you look at the Mughal Empire, the Mughal ruler they have ruled the vast area in our Indian country. This political instability it paved the way for the effect on social, economic, and religious condition of the people. Okay, so how these the political instability is affected on these social, economic, and religious aspect? Okay, so after the death of the Aurangzeb, for a long period there was no strong authority. There was no any strong ruler in the central power. There was no any proper administration. There was no any proper law and order to maintain peace in vast area of our country. Okay, so it was the situation. During the 18th century in India, it was characterized by two important transitions. So, as per the view of historians, they believed that the 18th century it was characterized by two important critical transitions. So, transition means some kind of a what you call changes or a modification or a transformation. So, first one was it was the 18th century. There was a situation called the alteration of the structure of the power, because after the death of Aurangzeb, there was no any kind of a strong ruler, but it was fully the weak what do you call after death after Aurangzeb, we doesn't have any kind of strong or efficient ruler or powerful ruler. So after him, there was a large number of the weak what do you call the inefficient ruler. Okay, that's why there was a change of the power. It was came under the control of the British East India Company. Okay, secondly, this century witnessed the transition in the political, the transition in the social, the transition or changes in the social and economic aspect or cultural aspect also. Okay, so in 18th century, the English East India Company it was initiated or it was started to establish their political dominance or political control over or political supremacy over our India. Okay, so decline of Mughals, which leads to the rise and emergence of the several independent kingdoms. During the 18th century, the Indian society was marked by a stagnation and dependence on the past. In 18th century, the Indian society was fully constructed, or it was fully modified, or it was fully molded based on the classical social setup. So classical social setup means like there was the practice of social discrimination, the practice of gender discrimination, the practice of caste and religious supremacy, the practice of child marriage, the practice of women oppression. So these are the things it was occurred in the 18th century, before the 18th century also. But this 18th century was continuation of these the classical the social setup. There was no uniformity in the social pattern and the cultural life of the people. The society was divided into multi-layer identities on the basis of religion, region, clan, language, class, and caste. Okay, so there was a social disparities in everywhere. So we can find any kind of equality among the Indian society in the name of the Indians, or in the name of what you call the common people. The people were divided by the religion, the Hindu, Muslim, or whatever may be. So Parsis or whatever may be, they doesn't have any kind of unity, but there might have some kind of tolerance, but they're not having any kind of unity among these religions. They were divided by this different region. They were divided by their own the tribal groups. They were divided by their own language. They were divided by their own caste groups and all. So whether Hindus or Muslim, among them they are having a large number of differentiation. based on their region, based on their language, based on their clan. The caste regulation, the caste rule was constructed. So what is maybe caste rule? It is kind of a regulation. It's kind of a rigid, what you call the caste hierarchy. The caste system. It is following some kind of restriction or some kind of regulation in the what you call to maintain the what you call the caste hierarchy, or to maintain the caste system, or to maintain the caste ladder. So this caste regulation was constructed based on the matter of marriage. Okay, so they never allowed the intercaste marriage, or never allowed the what do you call interdying, or they never, based on the diet, these caste hierarchy was constructed. The diet also, they playing major role for these those who are maintaining the supreme power, those who are maintaining the inferior in the name of food diet. Okay, so the so-called high caste people, they have tried to maintain their social supremacy with the banner of a caste system. The people does not have a encourage. Okay, the common people doesn't have the courage, or doesn't have the boldness, or doesn't have the this space to oppose or break the caste regulation or caste rule. Okay, if you look at the Hindu society, it was divided by Varna system. If you look at the Varna system, it was the Varna system. It's mainly focused on Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Sudra. So after Sudras, we are having several one more group of people called Sub-Sudras. These Sub-Sudras, they were known as the so-called untouchables, or so-called outcast people, or so-called what do you call? They never allowed. They doesn't have any kind of basic rights to live. Okay, so if you look at the pattern of the Varna system, like the Brahmins, their main occupation was the priest, or what do you call the government service and all. The Kshatriyas, the ruler or the warrior, they were known as Kshatriyas. Those who are doing a merchant work, they used to call as Vaishyas. Then if you look at the Sudras, they were the labor for these above section of the people. The caste system played a major role for the social stratification among the Hindus, especially the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas were all divided and subdivided into large number of caste and subcaste, or jatis. So jatis differed based on its nature from place to place. The Hindu society was headed by the Brahmins, or who was dominated by the Brahmins, who monopolized all the social prestige and social privileges. The caste or jatis were decided by birth, fixing the permanent place of the people in the social hierarchy. The caste system rigidly divided the people. Okay, so never the caste system or caste setup is never giving any flexible relaxation with these section of the people. The caste regulation or caste rule extremely strict, and the intercaste marriage was forbidden in the period of 18th century. It was continuing the present situation also, but some of the cases somewhat different. It's not those who are the settled in the financially means, they never talk about the caste system. Okay, so if you look at the 18th century social setup, there was a restriction on the interdining among the other caste people. The caste was fixed based on the birth, not by the professions. Okay, so in this situation, or in this century, the caste was not constructed based on the birth. Okay, it's not based on the professions. Okay, because some of the Brahmins who have involved, or who have engaged in the what you call the merchant, they have involved in the trading activities also. Okay, so actually those who are involved in trade, they used to call as Vaisyas. But in this situation, in this century, large number of other section of the people, they have involved, they have chosen their profession according to their own wish. Okay, so in this century, this caste was not fixed based on the birth, not by the profession. So because some of the Brahmins who started to involve trading activities, as I said earlier, the Brahmins were enjoyed all the government post and service. Sudras, they have come for, when you're talking about the population wise, they comprised a marginal mass of the people, but they doesn't have any kind of basic rights. They used to the above section of the people, they have used these Sudras people for their own to do their the basic things, or basic for the Sudras, they were used by these three sections of the people for their own activities, therefore for their washing clothes, or some to clean their street and all. Okay, so at the same time, the so-called Sudras, they were served as a labor for these section of the people, the so-called high caste people. Okay, the family was the basic social unit of the administration. The family was based on patriarchal. The patriarchal means like a male-centric pattern, except Kerala. In Kerala, that was they have followed a matrilineal system or female-centric system. It was prevalent. In Kerala, the women's were expected to live as a role model of ideal daughter, wives, and mothers. So, women of the upper classes in the North India, it was followed the Parda practice. So, according to Bipin Chandra, the Parda was not more prevalent in South India during this century. The family was dominated by the senior male member, and it doesn't have any other. The male members having the own property rights. Generally, the girl child doesn't have any kind of doesn't enjoy any property rights over his father's wealth. The gender discrimination was practiced. Boys and girls were not permitted to mix with one another. The marriage was considered as the social obligation between the two families. The customs of female infanticide was more prevalent among the Rajputs. The child marriage was more prevalent in North India. Among the upper classes, the polygamy and the dowry system was prevalent. Dowry was widespread in India, especially Bengal and Rajasthan region. The polygamy was more powerful or more popular in Uttar Pradesh and Bengal, and widows were not allowed to remarry. The way we are talking about sati or self-immolation, the sati and the pathetic condition of widows, it was treated and it was considered as the greatest evil of the 18th century. If you look at the sati, so what is meant by sati? So the woman forced to end her life with her husband after his death. Because he doesn't have, okay. So this is kind of the cruelty of the male domination. They believed that, especially these section of the people, they believed that those women who committed sati, they were highly honored and their families were given a lot of respect. So it also considered as form of suicide or human sacrifice. So it was the mostly prevailed in Bengal, Central India and Rajasthan. In the south it was not uncommon. So untouchability was the prevalent in the society. Okay, if you look at the condition of the marginalized section of people, there was no any unity, there was no any kind of equality. The Sudras and Sub-Sudras were treated as untouchables or outcast people. They denied to enter the temple, they denied to use tanks, they denied to use wells, they denied to use basic privileges what the other section of the people are enjoying. They doesn't have any rights to live properly. They doesn't have any rights to live with the basic needs. They doesn't have rights to go for schools and all. The Muslim society. The Muslims were influenced by the consideration of race, caste, clan, and status. The Shia and Sunnis were the major religious sect of the Muslims. So among the Orthodox, the Muslims, they have prohibited marriage between Shias and Sunni sects. At the same time, the Iranian Muslims, Afghani Muslims, and the Hindustani Muslims, they had a lot of difference in their social order. During the 18th century, the large number of Hindus they were converted to Islam due to the restriction and rigid in the Hindu social stratification. The social honor was the vital causes behind the conversion to Islam. So Hindus believed that the trinity of Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva was the three major powers of creation, sustenance and destruction. The worship of Brahma was not more popular. Shiva and Vishnu was the major deity. They were the followers of Shiva called Saivist. The followers of Vishnu, they were known as Vaisnavist. The worship of Shiva was the religion of the common people. The Rajputs, mostly followers of Shiva, they built several Shiva temples. Both Shiva and Vishnu had a prominent position in the religious thought of the Hindus. The worship of Shakti or goddesses were more prevalent. Shakti worship and Durga worship and Ganesh worship and worship of sun was more popular during these 18th century. So the present class we have discussed the two major transitions which was occurred in the 18th century, the power changes and the political and social and economic changes in entire India. The English East India Company, they started to establish their power over India. Society was constructed based on the Varna system. The several castes or sadis it was formed. The social hierarchy was followed. Brahmins played a major and supreme role. The social and gender and caste discrimination was more severely it was practiced. Status of women was very pathetic, except elite women.